So we're going to get started now. So my name is Kylie Morgan, and I manage National Drive Electric Week and Drive Electric Earth Day here at Plug in America. And today I'll be co-hosting with Elaine Borsett from the Electric Auto Association.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elaine Borsett. I'm Vice President of Electric Auto, and I'm also the president of our local chapter here in San Diego. So welcome. What is National Drive Electric Week? National Drive Electric Week is a nationwide campaign of events organized by local volunteers and organizations. The national team is made up of Plug in America, Sierra Club, and Electric Auto Association. And we provide all kinds of resources. So we have no cost EV event materials. We have an online event page for each and every one of your events, event insurance, and other resources which you can find on our website, which is driveelectricweek.org. So be sure and check that out. There are tons of resources. You can access the social media guide, which is open to the public. But to access the event planning guide and some of the other resources, you must log into the website, and then you can find the links on your event or on your account page rather. So traditionally, this has been an in-person events campaign with more than 300 events in all 50 states. This year, we expect National Drive Electric Week will be a mix of in-person and online events as more in-person activities become possible throughout the US. So if you're having an in-person event, think about making it even a little bit of a hybrid event and live streaming parts of it to your social media. And don't forget to check out that social media guide.
Awesome, thanks, Elaine. And if you attended our last webinar, you know that we already covered how to host an inclusive EV event. However, it can't be stressed enough that all Drive Electric Week events should strive to be as inclusive as possible. So we just wanted to cover this again here. One way you can be inclusive is featuring EVs of all price points, including used EVs. You can also choose an event location that's easily accessible via public transportation. And you can even include how to arrive at your event via public transit on your event page. You also want to consider if your event location is easy to navigate in a wheelchair or cane. You may also consider having a dedicated volunteer who can check in with people and assist them if requested, people who have vision, hearing, or mobility impairments. They'll let you know if they need anything or if they're fine on their own. And then lastly, it's always good to promote the event in multiple languages. If you have volunteers who are bilingual, that's a great way to make all members of your community feel welcome. Okay, so before marketing your event, it's important to understand the motivations of the general public. This study by Deloitte shows that people mainly consider EVs due to their lower emissions and lower operating costs. So while marketing your event, you can highlight those topics along with the many financial incentives that are available. Considering they found that people aren't willing to pay much extra for electric vehicles, it's important to emphasize how affordable these vehicles are due to fuel savings and the many financial incentives that are available. So the next finding is also that people expect a really extensive range out of electric vehicles. So one way you can address this is point out that the average driver only drives about 29 miles a day. Remind people that they don't need 500 miles of electric range for a vehicle that they use mainly for daily commutes. And then also you can talk to people about how charging stations are located near shopping malls and how many people charge overnight. They did find that people are willing to wait at least 30 minutes to charge a vehicle. So that's really encouraging. But it's also good to point out that, they're not just going to be standing next to their vehicle while it's charging. Often these stations are located near malls, grocery stores, and for the most part, people are charging at home overnight while they're sleeping.
So to market your event, think about a lot of different resources, along with flyers, radio ads, Facebook ads. Consider promoting your event in neighborhood guides or partner with local YouTube channels, Spotify podcasts, or anything that might have a related topic. You can also use a well-designed infographic to increase organic sharing on social media. Make it fun while still including the key elements of what's happening. And of course, the when, the where, all of that. Music, food trucks always add a fun element. So be sure and add that information too. And if you have a list of past attendees, consider tailoring different messages. So maybe if you have attendees that don't drive electric yet, you can send them one type of message. For EV owners, maybe you want to highlight that you're going to have some of the new models out there. If you're going to have a Polestar 2 or a Mach-E, some of the different ones like that, that maybe a lot of people haven't seen yet. Those are good things to highlight for existing EV owners. You can have a young volunteer craft a message to, your students or your younger attendees. So think about that. Think about just tailoring different messages to different groups. Another idea is to create a community around your event. So a community makes people feel like they belong, that they matter to each other, and that their needs will be met through that commitment of being together. So send attendees badges to add to their social media, have a social media account for your event. You can have shareable content leading up to the event. And another idea is to donate tickets or booth space. So this can be a great way to engage people that you don't normally reach, possibly students or other groups. And then, always think about partnering with other groups. It just makes it a lot easier when they can help promote your event also. So get creative. It can be a faith-based group. It can be an eco club. It can be, a street fair that's going on, or any variety of things. So let's see here. Yep. Oh, car show. I knew there was one more I was thinking of. So it's easier to have an event when you've got other people helping you, other people helping to promote it. And it's of course much, much easier if you can just kind of tag on to an existing event. So again, think about the street fairs, the car shows, eco expos, anything like that. Those are great ways to have your event and not have to do quite so much legwork. And then,
thanks, Elaine.
Right.
All right, so this information is from Facebook IQ, and these are tips they've provided based on how their users interact with content. So on social media, stories or live tweeting can help produce more engaging content. If you add captions to your video posts as opposed to relying on sound, it can also increase how long people watch the video. Another idea is if you ask questions in your captions, that helps create a conversation around the post and can help create a little more engagement and hopefully some more organic sharing for that post. So next, you want to try and deliver your message within 5 seconds, and also use a variety of platforms and video formats to deliver your message. So maybe you have one post that's a picture and some text, and another that's a video. A great tool to use is Adobe Spark. It's a free tool where you can make an animated video using just pictures and text. And this would be really helpful if you're using paid ads that appear in stories. Facebook found that it's better to use multiple short scenes as opposed to one long one if you're doing paid ads in a story. And of course, we definitely would love if you tag our social media, Drive Elect Events, and use the hashtag NDEW 2021. All right, so if you have the budget, we do recommend trying paid advertising. On Facebook, you can reach as many as 10,000 people with just $100. You can also choose ads that will be targeted to people who are interested in topics like electric vehicles, the environment, or technology. And this is a great way to direct people directly back to your NDEW online event page so they can RSVP, and that way you can regularly communicate with them. We also have a social media guide. So after this webinar, we'll send a PDF of the slide deck, and it will link to the social media guide, which has lots of sample posts that you can use, as well as hashtags. Right. If you're doing paid advertising, you might also consider experimenting with Google Ads. As opposed to Facebook ads, which targets people based on their interest, Google Ads can target people who are actively searching for a particular topic, like electric vehicles. If you do decide to use Google Ads, there's a few tips with that. So you want to focus on creating ads that have a really high quality score. That's on a rating of 1 to 10. The higher the score, the better your rank will be, and the better chances you'll have for conversion. You also want to be specific with your target keywords. So one example would be, instead of using a keyword electric vehicles, you might use, you might use Nissan Leaf in Vancouver, Canada. If you have a limited budget, it's also best not to spread yourself too thin. So instead of putting money towards 40 different keywords, maybe just focus on 1 or 2 that will be really relevant for your audience. And within the ads, you can add extensions like a phone number or other ways to contact your event. You may also link to a page where people can join your EV mailing list. These are great ways to encourage people to take action other than attending the event in case they're not ready to do that for some reason. Another key tip is using negative keywords. So these are keywords that you don't want the ads to target. So for example, if you want the ad to target Nissan Leaf, people who are searching for, say, a Nissan Leaf, but not people who already own a Nissan Leaf, you can use the negative keywords to really tailor your advertising. And then also, after you run the ads, you can check your search terms report and find the irrelevant queries that were leading people to you. And so you can use those to add more negative keywords in future ads. And then finally, it's always good to analyze the results of your advertising after the event. This will allow you to improve next year and hopefully get better and better each year.
All right. So this is a really interesting thing. So you want to make sure and highlight the type of event on your page, but what type of event are you going to have? So I'm trying to think. Kylie, help me out. Who did this? It was Eventbrite.
No, it's Eventbrite.
Yes. Okay, yes. So Eventbrite conducted a survey of over 3,000 event goers in San Francisco, New York, and LA. And among the respondents, most were female and millennial. They found that a top reason to go out was to hang out with family and friends. But they found out too that in San Francisco, for instance, the top reason for going out was to get physical activity. In LA, the top reason for going to an event was to try new things. There were different event types in different areas. So in LA, they preferred live music. San Francisco, fitness and wellness. New York, it was dance parties and DJ nights. But I love that all 3 cities love food and drink tastings. So again, that's a great way to get more excitement around your event, get more people at your event. Think about inviting a food truck or food trucks, having some music, that type of thing. But consider your area and what works in your area. And again, get creative. You know, it's going to be the fall. So, you know, maybe you can have an event focused around leaf peeping, you know, in New England and all over the country where they have beautiful leaves and, you know, people love to tour around. So, and check into existing events. And the next slide.
Go ahead.
So neighborhood guides is a great way to promote your event, and you can see some examples here. They're all different kinds of neighborhood guides. They also found that people like to know what's happening this month. So be sure to get your notices out into all of the different media at least a few weeks ahead. So, and that's where you're going to really want to push the hardest is those few weeks before your event. So keep that in mind, and don't be afraid to post more than once on social media as it gets closer to your event. And again, we have lots of tips on our website. So, and when you create your event page, be sure to put things in like, what's the vibe of your particular event? Is this going to be a family-friendly event? Or is it going to be, you know, EV test drives at the raceway? You know, is it going to be a showcase in the park? Are you going to have local musicians? Are you going to have celebrities? And again, local officials are a great way to get more people there and more media there. So be sure and post all of that right on your event page. Also, be sure to post information about parking, especially if it's an area where parking is tough. Be sure to encourage taking public transportation, carpooling, you know, give tips perhaps on, you know, where there are some parking lots that are good areas to park, that type of thing, so that people are prepared and aren't disappointed when they get there that they can't find parking. So partner with local businesses, new bars and restaurants, existing bars and restaurants. These are great ways to help get the word out and to get more marketing too. They can become a marketing partner with you and help push people to your event. And again, lots of resources on the webpage.
Awesome, thanks, Elaine. And sometimes you don't have to look any further to promote your event than your own network. Consider giving a brief presentation about your event and electric vehicles to your coworkers, or even ask your volunteers if they can do the same at their workplace. If you notice that local businesses have electric vehicle charging stations, you may approach them and ask if they'd like an EV presentation for their staff. All right, so part of great marketing is also great event photos. You want to focus on avoiding faraway group shots and try to get people with smiling faces in cars. You know, really try to focus in on close up on someone's face. You know, you can see an example to the left where it's much more impactful to have cropped the photo and really see this person having a good time in the vehicle. Also, you can consider getting video of someone driving an electric vehicle for the first time and experiencing that instant torque. There's also photos available for anyone to use on the NDEW media page. We just ask that you credit the photographer. All right, so privacy is also really important to consider at your event with regards to photos. You always want to ask permission before you take a photo and make sure they're okay if it's used for marketing purposes. One way you can do this in a kind of general way for all your attendees is to post a sign that by participating in the event, people are giving you permission to use their photos. However, you always want to get written permission from a guardian to show a child's face. So, you know, even if someone is in your event space and you have the sign, make sure not to use any photos showing children's faces in your marketing or on, you know, your event page unless you have written permission. Also, if you're a Sierra Club chapter, they may have stricter policies around photo privacy. So we'd encourage you to look up their specific policies.
All right, so engaging with the media, this is really important. And the driveelectricweek.org website has a variety of resources. So be sure to check out the media alert template and the press release template. They're right there for you to just go ahead and use. Focus on what makes your event unique. So think about, again, I just always stress creativity. You really want to think about all different kinds of ways that you can promote your event or make your event stand out. Can you invite a local official? If you're talking with the media, are you going to maybe even focusing on used EVs is kind of a unique slant on things. Up until now, we really haven't had a lot of used EVs because they're so new. So are you going to have used EVs? Again, are you going to have maybe some of the newer models, the brand new Nissan Leaf, the Mach-E, the Polestar 2? Are those going to be at your event? Work with local influencers. Connect with state and local efforts and share a compelling story. That always is an attention getter. So when do you invite the media? 1 week before your event, send out the media advisory, and then they're like the rest of us, they need reminders. So 1 to 2 days before the event, be sure to call the local news outlet and remind them. So the day of the event, you can call them, send out a press release after the event, focus on anything that was kind of new and exciting about your event. And again, was there a new EV initiative? Did you have local officials, state officials at your event, different types of vehicles? Do you have a business that maybe installed charging? Think about all these different things that you can help promote your event and get the media excited about your event. So, and we've talked repeatedly about inviting local officials, getting your area, your city, your town to issue a proclamation is a great way to kind of create some buzz. And that's another thing that you can show off to the media, that, you know, the mayor issued a proclamation for your town for National Drive Electric Week. So attend town hall meetings to engage, use the Achieve Model EV Policy Toolkit to work with public officials and accelerate EV adoption in your community. So, and you can find the templates on the Drive Electric Week website. Just log into the website, go to your account, the event planning guide, promoting your event, and engaging public officials. So how do you engage dealerships? I encourage people to do this throughout the year, not just for National Drive Electric Week. So go ahead and start now, and you can email your dealerships, you can phone, but really it works best, in my opinion, if you can just head on in there. And if you can create that relationship with some of these dealerships, then you've got people that are willing to work with you anytime you have an event. But let them know, you know, how important National Drive Electric Week is. Many times, if they're not able to perhaps give you a car and a salesperson for your event, they might even be willing just to come and drop a car off with the keys so that you can show it to people. So emphasize to them that you're going to create sales for them. You know, you are talking to people, you're educating people about electric vehicles, and this will in turn create sales for them. So, but if you can't get in there in person, email and phone work great also. Plugstar.com is, of course, the best way to go. The dealerships on plugstar.com are EV certified dealers. So these are dealers that want to work with you and that know, they know about EVs. So they've been educated, they've taken training on electric vehicles. So these are the best dealerships to work with. And weekdays do work better than weekends for dealerships. And again, because they're busy on the weekends, and a lot of times they don't want to give up a salesperson and or a vehicle. But again, work with them, see if you can get something going. I have had them in San Diego here come and just drop a vehicle off for us. We've also had them work with our National Drive Electric Week Ride and Drive, where we had, I think, close to a dozen dealership cars for test drives at our last in-person National Drive Electric Week Ride and Drive. So they will work with you. Be sure and get out there and engage with them. There's also a website, or there's also a form on the website to request dealer outreach assistance. So be sure and utilize that.
Okay, so if you have any questions after this webinar, please be sure to contact NDEW support@driveelectricweek.org. As Elaine mentioned, we have lots of resources available to current and past volunteers. If you just log into the website, go to your account page and visit the event planning guide, you can access lots of templates and tips. You can also access that form to request dealer outreach assistance that Elaine mentioned. And essentially what that form is it just lets Plug in America know that you'd like some assistance getting certain vehicles to your event. So we'll reach out on your behalf to our automaker and dealer contacts and do our best to get a vehicle there. All right, so I'm going to go to the questions now. If anyone has any questions, please submit that in the question panel, but also check the chat just in case there's any there. So a question, if we'll share the slide deck and recording. We are recording this and we will share the slide deck and recording later this week. Interesting question, is there any way NDEW can make the logo in Spanish as well? We haven't thought about that, but that is a great idea, great consideration. So we'll definitely take that into account. I'm going to check the chat now. Okay, so we had one question about the badges for attendees to add on social media after they RSVP. So this is an idea to make attendees feel like they're part of an event community. And this is sort of a badge that you might create yourself. One great tool for creating infographics or flyers is called canva.com. And I'm going to put that in the chat right now. So if you go on Canva, you can just kind of create your own event badge. And the thought behind that was after people RSVP, you can email them, that file or a link to the badge and maybe ask them to upload that image as their social media profile or even just post it. And this is just a great way to make people feel like, they're part of something special when they attend your event and to help them promote it to their friends. All right. And so we have a question here. Will Plug in America be creating a social media reel that we can use to promote Drive Electric Week? So we are creating different types of social media assets that you'll be able to use. We will email all current and past volunteers when we have those ready, but they'll include template social media posts, with graphics, as well as some promotional videos. But if you go to the social media guide now, you can already find some template post language. And the social media guide is open to the public. It can be found on when you log into the website on your account page, but it can also be found on the EV 101 page at the very bottom. And then we have a great note here that someone was having great luck speaking to local Rotary clubs. They mentioned the environment is now a priority effort for Rotary International. So that's a great note, because if you notice a local organization, even a bike club, or as Elaine mentioned, a faith-based group who really wants to help the environment, pitch to them that an EV showcase would be a great way to do that. So we have a question about the logo in Spanish. So Bianca Lopez, I would email the support email, and that actually goes to me as well as other staff members. So we'll definitely follow up with you if you email us about the Spanish logo. Another question is attendee registration required or simply suggested? So attendee registration is not required, but we do really want attendees to register, because it allows us to contact them in the future about other, future Drive Electric Week events. It also allows you to communicate with them via your online event page. So anyone who RSVPs on your online event page, you can actually email them through the site and give them important updates. And then another question about the NDEW language and brand requirements. So we do have some brand requirements, and we actually have a standard group graphic you can use that includes the NDEW logo as well as the logos of the national organizers. You can find all that information on the event planning guide. So if you log into your account, go to the account page, you'll see a link to that event planning guide. And then another question, what if I need to limit the number of attendees and vehicles registered for my event? So in general, for each event, we ask that it's open to the public. So if you want to limit attendees, you might consider asking certain groups of attendees to come at different times. So maybe email, the first 20 attendees and say that they can come during this time frame and so forth. Same with vehicles. On the online event page, you can email only people with electric vehicles and let them know that you only have a limited space. You can also email certain people. So if you see that someone registered with a Nissan Leaf and another with a Mustang Mach-E, you can email them specifically and say that you'd like them to be in the display, and email others and let them know that there's no more space. Just want to go back to the question panel. Right, and Elaine, another question. Eligible vehicles. If an event will include e-scooters and other e-mobility vehicles, can we still be an NDEW event? You definitely can, but we would ask that you still feature freeway-capable electric vehicles, like the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Bolt and Mustang Mach-E. We want to make sure that those vehicles are still included, but definitely, please include other forms of electric transportation. All right, and then another question about obtaining EVs for test drives. So we did give some general tips for reaching out to dealers. And if you are looking for support, definitely fill out that form because we can reach out on your behalf. But if you might also consider asking local EV owners if they want to allow people to ride in their vehicle. The only thing is that their personal vehicle insurance would cover that activity. So it is a careful decision that they'd have to make.
Yeah, and I just want to add that ride-alongs are definitely the next best thing to ride and drives. So we've done several in San Diego, and while it's not exactly the same as being behind the wheel, it definitely is a great way to give people that instant torque experience, and for them to kind of check out the vehicle and talk to an owner.
Definitely. And then Elaine, I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on, we talked a little bit about creating community at your event. You've organized many events, but are there certain things that have made you feel like a part of an event community?
Yeah, I think, well, I do like the National Drive Electric Week website, in that you can message, you can email the attendees, you can email your volunteers, or you can email all of them. And same thing, I think you can even separate out the dealers if you have any dealers registered for your event. So I like to send out an email, like say, at least once a week for the 2 or 3 weeks before the event, so that people kind of feel like they're part of it and they're being included. And then that way too, it's a great way if there are any updates, if you find out that you have, whatever, Joe's chili stand is food truck is coming to the event, you can kind of send that out, as that's a good excuse to kind of send an email out to everybody and say, hey, looking forward to seeing you at the event. And we just got word that Joe's chili truck is coming to our event, so don't miss it, that kind of thing. So, yeah, and the event page is a great way just to keep the updates and keep people involved.
Awesome, thanks, Elaine. All right, so I think that's about it for today. I want to check one last time for any other questions. Okay, any last thoughts, Elaine, before we end today's webinar?
No, actually, I just saw a comment from Barry, I think, about the e-bikes. And yeah, it's definitely a great thing to add to your event. The e-bikes are really popular. And I think when you can engage someone into a conversation about e-bikes and you have electric vehicles right there, it's very easy to kind of transition into the discussion about electric vehicles. So that's a good way to go. And I noticed somebody else said they recommend attending local EV and green group meetings and inviting their members to attend. So if you have local eco groups, so I know around us, there's an Eco Rotary Club in Solana Beach. There's the North County Climate Action Group. So we work very closely with them, and typically they'll post our events on their web pages and vice versa. So, and actually there's a St. Bart's Church that has an eco group that's very, very active. We've done a couple webinars with them. They're going to participate with our NDEW this year. So definitely take a look around at all the different organizations around you and partner. It's great to have more partners kind of putting the word out about your events, and also people to help at your events. So it's a good way to do it.
Awesome, thanks so much. Oh, and also a question, do we have a list of EV podcasters that we might reach out to? I don't have a list of those, but
don't have a list. Electric Auto Association is actually working on compiling a list right now, but I don't think it's up and running. But I will stay in contact and see if we can get that, at least a partial list to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Elaine. Yeah, and then of course, I think there's lots of great YouTube channels about EVs. So some of them might be local or national, but it wouldn't hurt to reach out and ask if they can help promote your event. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today, and for all the great tips and for supporting each other. Also, Elaine just provided her email. It's driveelectric92007@gmail.com. So if you're interested in the EV podcast, she can help with that. And then, of course, email support with any other questions. Okay, have a great day, everyone.